This is CPAs and Beignets, where numbers tell stories. We're serving up real conversations with CPAs about who they are, how they got here, and what lights them up out of the office. Hey, Ann.
Hey, Rod.
Here we go again.
That's right. We're ready.
Yes, ma'am. How are you?
Beignet all day.
Beignet all day. Here we are, CPAs and Beignets, episode 3.
That's right.
Where numbers tell stories.
All right.
Who's with us today?
Oh, our esteemed new chair, Anthony Rutledge.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
really.
I appreciate it. It's really cool.
We like to start out talking about beignets.
Yep.
I see that right there on the table.
That's
And,
it.
and so, do you have any beignet stories, or are you a full-on sugar guy? I see you're wearing navy blue. Good luck with that.
Right. I'm not sure how that's going to work. I do have a fun beignet story.
Go for it.
Miles, my son, the oldest, he remembers when we first brought him into the French Quarter, and we were walking through the French market, and we were chasing down the winner of the beignet, the beignet contest, the beignet cooking contest they do in Championship Square, and it was a praline stuffed beignet for someone inside there, and he still talks about it to this day.
That's a solid
Love
story.
it. Well, we got to hunt that down.
We got to
again,
hunt that
right?
down. And yesterday, we had a visit from Gary Scopes, the first executive director of the society. We wound up at Drago's, and they offer beignets now, and they had a stuffed beignet, but it was like a cannoli. So stuffed with cannoli cream with the nut topping, and pretty phenomenal. So
Were you
love
invited
that.
to that lunch, Anthony?
I can't say I was. but
I don't
still,
think
I
so
think
either.
I need one.
that is
There's
the
still
next time.
time.
There will be
There's
a
still
next
time.
time. Absolutely.
I thought you could say a savory beignet or something like that if it was Drago's, but that works too.
That was pretty savory. I mean, it had that
Okay,
nutty
okay.
flavor too. So all good. Yeah, look, welcome in. You know, we
Yes,
try to.
congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We're hanging out. We're telling stories. We like to. It's weird how numbers just play a role in everything we do. And naturally, as CPAs, we're sort of numbers people. People talk about math. I'm not great at math, not hard math, but the math we do is not hard. But the numbers absolutely do tell stories sometimes. So, welcome in. We're going to just talk about some things. I know you've got a theme this year, and tell us a little bit about your theme and how you got there. And I actually know the story behind it, so I'm excited to hear it again.
Cool. Awesome. No, I'm happy to. I'll start with, I guess, just explaining it. The theme is Beyond Rewards. And it kind of came up with the idea with this concept of giving back to the profession more than it's given into us. I'm hoping that we find a way to communicate to the CPA profession, to our society, to our members, that we've gotten a lot out of this profession. And there's so many things we might take for granted over the years, so many things that we get a little complacent to thinking through when you deal with the numbers, when you deal with big numbers, when you deal with big companies, that sometimes it's important to just rewind that a little bit, maybe remember a little bit about where you came from and find a way to tap into that and think beyond the intrinsic rewards that we have as a profession and into something else that you can give back to the community. So
It's awesome. Amazing. So sort of tie in two of your passions, so that the
100.
numbers and being a CPA and what that's all about, and sort of some points related to credit card type stuff. We'll get into that in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
But with the other
Good
passion,
story.
which is giving back to the community and the people that we serve. This public is in the title CPA, Certified Public Accountant.
middle.
So, and I know you're in public accounting, so finding ways to give back is really cool, and tying your theme as chair of the society to it's actually really awesome too. So numbers telling stories. I know the story about points, and I know a certain someone was in college trying to make, tuition, and found a unique way to do that with some dollars and an angle on it. Share us a little bit of that.
And I might even have some extra bonus stories for you
All
about
right.
Bonus.
the idea behind the Beyond Rewards, as well as I'm in the rewards and points game, miles and points game. It's a huge passion of mine. Something that without that avenue or that ability, I feel like maybe I wouldn't take as many vacations. Maybe I would have. And I didn't go on my first plane flight until I was college. I don't know if I told you that.
I didn't know that.
Like, I didn't grow up on planes. You talk about remembering Beyond Rewards, where you came from and stuff like that. I didn't take one until I had a college trip for a Gamma Beta Phi Honor Society. Well, I was hooked. I wanted to fly. I wanted to learn how to fly. And then I came down this rabbit hole of how you fly for free and do all that sort of stuff. Well, in college, I started getting into that a little bit and found out that you could buy mint coin straight from the government and put it on a credit card. And I used that to generate cash back on the credit card, and from that cash back paid for my MBA program at Southeastern. It's just one of those hooks at the beginning of of learning how to do that. I was like, wow, if you know how to work financial systems, work maybe is a strong word, but understand financial systems, which is what CPAs do every day, then sometimes you find a little nugget of opportunity to work through that. No different than analyzing tax code, no different than analyzing audit rules or understanding them. And that was kind of my intro into that. And I've expanded it a lot since then. So.
Absolutely, pretty neat. So, yeah, I know the stories of and the people that you met kind of led you to the rewards piece with the cashiers at the grocery store because it involved you with as you got better at it and your credit grew, you were buying more coins to get more points and then turning them back in, like selling them back to the government, and the ability to have to count all that, you needed some help, and so. It's kind of neat that you built those relationships out and made that part of the whole story.
I still remember in college, the Chase Bank there inside of that Walmart, they would just wait for me to show up with all the coins. and Chase was very particular. They wouldn't take pre-rolled coins. So even though they came rolled, even though they came straight from the government, we'd have to take them. And they got to the point where they just let me behind the counter and I would just sit there and I would unroll everything, put it in the bag. They would weigh it and then cash it all in. And then I guess they'd go and re-roll it again. I'm not entirely sure, but became really good friends with those folks. So,
trusted advisor, right? From way back
advisor.
then. You know,
Right.
I think it's really neat that, you know, the ability to be able to analyze that situation and maximize it. I mean, we do it as CPAs, but I'll think about the tax side. I know you're in audit, but, you know, how do you interpret, say, tax code and minimize tax liability for a client? It's no different than here are the rules of the program and, you know, it's not game the system, but the rules are the rules, and how do I, you know, maximize the benefit and return on that?
That's right. Understand the rules, understand the opportunities from those rules, and finding the sweet spot in between. So
Yeah. So fast forward, I know, and I got to get on your list somehow because, yeah, I know you do.
Well, I have a list.
hey, friends or people that I know. Here's what you need to do to go on this trip with me. Here's a credit card that you sign up for, and here's exactly what you do, and you actually plan the trip. So. All that, it's humble beginnings, and it's parlayed into this really cool thing to give back to friends and have them travel with you at the highest levels. And then I know there's a whole community built around this points thing, and that it's not just all about personal gain. It's about finding a way. I know there's a philanthropic piece that they've found a way to monetize the points to give to those in need, which helps you shape your theme around beyond rewards. So. Cool story.
Yeah,
you know?
There's a lot of great opportunities in that, and you're right. The community behind the miles and points system. I was doing that in '09, I guess, when I was in my MBA program, and it took me until 2017, really 2017 or so, when I ran into someone kind of in the wild, if you will, in a different state on a trip that was paid for entirely with points with my family. It was the first time we brought Miles to Disneyland. He was 3 years old, doing this trek 2 weeks up and down California, and didn't pay a dime. And I ran into this lady that's overhears me talking at one of the Hyatt lounges there. Next thing I know, I'm friends with all these people on Facebook and different influencers and stuff across the world that just travel for free. We just got back from Costa Rica, 15 people that are across just as many different states, feels like, and going over there, all traveling as award travelers and not paying anything and having a good time with each other. It's really cool.
Amazing. So I know in the current world we live in, here's a practical question, and I wonder how you deal with this. And this is a surprise. I have a question for you. The whole notion now of most places you go to are charging you their discount fee for credit cards. Sure. How does that impact the point business? Because I know, simply put, if you're solely a credit card user, inflation for you is whatever the inflation rate is plus 3.5%, right? And so I know that does that outweigh the rewards themselves that are given to you? I mean, how do you manage and deal with that?
That's a great question, and we could go down a lot of rabbit holes with it. I'm going to tell you the way I usually think about it. They're currencies, right? Every point is a currency, but what's cool about it is it's a volatile currency, depending upon what's happening with that program, depending upon what the different airlines are doing, but depending upon how they change the rules along the way. But what's cool about it is every currency, for the most part, is worth more than a cent per point, right? It just is if you know how to utilize them the right way. So if someone's charging you 3 or 4% and you're making still 4 times points, those 4 times, it seems like a wash, right? Yeah. But it really might not be if you know exactly where to leverage it. It does put a bummer on some things, but there's a lot of other ways, chasing bonuses, chasing opportunities to business spend and things like that to still make it worth your while.
Yeah. So there's still a spread in there. There's a margin of return. 100%. Pretty cool. And as far as we know, sitting here today, tax free, right? There's no tax implication.
I'll let the tax professionals chime in on that one. Just to make
They're not
sure.
going after your points, and
There's
that's not happening.
many nights at LCPA events that people come up and ask me questions and start talking. And next thing I know, it's 2 hours later, and we're talking about tax implications and miles and points, and no one comes up with an answer every single time.
So no tax on tips now, no tax
yeah,
on
there we go. There we go.
Overtime, and no tax on points has always been a thing.
In case
you know?
there's any IRS agents watching, just
Yeah, leave that statute alone. We're going to be okay.
So you mentioned that you use this program to help get you through college.
Did.
So beyond college, what was your journey like to becoming a CPA?
Oh man, that's great. I'll rewind a little bit even into college. I didn't enroll originally as an accounting major. I actually enrolled in computer science. And there was a firm that I was working for, not an accounting firm, but a technology firm at the time. And one of the individuals working there, whose father was a CPA, had a coaster on his desk that said DR equals CR, the meaning of life. Had no clue what that meant, zero clue what that meant. But I knew that it had something to do with business after he started talking to me. And what I kind of left with that conversation, amongst a few others that were kind of mentors in that space, was that if you learned accounting, you learn how to speak business. You learn the language of business. You become bilingual. That's what got me into being a CPA in that sense. There's a lot of maybe some backstory. You talk about humble beginnings that maybe really encouraged that along the way. But if you talk about what changed me, it was that kind of moment of realizing I do want to speak the language of business. I do want to know accounting. I do have that entrepreneurial spirit that I want to tap into. And why not do it through the accounting curriculum? And the next thing you know, pass the CPA exam.
Here you are. Yeah.
So.
And then made your way onto our board. I mean, one thing I remember about you, having first met you and your time as chapter president on the North Shore, which earned you a board seat at our statewide board meetings. You always ask really good questions. And I know audit's your thing that you primarily work in. And I know you understand technology and you're fascinated by the whole process. And we hear a lot about AI. And I know that's entered all of our worlds. And so I'd love to get your take a little bit on AI and maybe its future impact on the profession. Are you seeing it in the audit practice, beyond the things that we just read about? Or are there some cool things that you're doing with it?
Yeah, no, I'm happy. I love this stuff. I love this space. I get really excited about it. I feel like right now it's just like any new technology that rolls out. There's like that trickle down effect nationally, and everyone's chasing that golden goose that's AI in the profession, right? You see it incorporating its way into our tools. You see it incorporating its way into just our lives. With every single app that we have on our phone now has something generated or something influenced or something enhanced by AI. Even your camera now, if you go update a photo, has, and do you want to enhance this with AI? It's like, yeah, what is that even doing? I think what we're going to see is a shift in what's needed to do an audit at some point, at least on our side. Same thing with a tax return. Just like there was with general technology kind of getting incorporated into the profession, that doesn't mean that it replaces positions. That doesn't mean it replaces integrity or anything that we stand behind. That means that it creates a shift that's additional skill sets, new skill sets are needed. And what really I think is going to drive that is the need for efficiency. Organizations that utilize our services are going to start to incorporate this quicker than we might as a profession even. And they're going to know the benefits before we do. If we don't keep pace as a profession, if professional services in general don't keep pace as a profession, they're going to start saying, well, wait a second. These guys let's go see them instead. That's where I think you'll start to see it.
Yeah. So, I heard it said, some people will tell you that AI is going to replace all of us. There won't be a need for CPAs at all. Don't believe that for a second. But I did hear a quip that I think makes sense, is that AI won't replace CPAs, but AI will replace CPAs that don't use AI, right?
The words
and
out of my
so,
mouth.
that's exactly where we're headed. I know we've done a lot of work in advocacy together, and it seems to be a passion of yours too. I know I really appreciate the energy you've given around that. We had I guess it's been a while, but we went to Washington, D.C. on behalf of the AICPA Council. We have council representatives from Louisiana, and we go to the Hill with messaging typically. For the first time since I've been doing this, we had some success, and some of them are the same issues we've been bringing for more than a decade. Recently on a AICPA town hall, they talked about we were 3 for 4 just on the issues
Very
that we
cool.
brought to the Hill. And I know you had some family members there, and trip to DC. We got to do some really cool things around the Capitol and some tours and the like. But the advocacy piece, and I don't know that our members even know about the work that we do and the successes that we had, because sometimes it's hard to have people understand we prevent bad things from happening. So in the case of the pass-through entity tax, that's one of those. Typically you celebrate wins, things that you actually accomplish. And so on that front, having the natural disaster, the disaster relief bill get passed is phenomenal. And so share a little bit about your experience and your time in DC doing that, and how you see that as a leader of the profession. I mean, I talked about we're breathing rare air when we were leaving, because, for the biggest tax bill ever, right, according to our president, and he's probably not wrong in that sense, but we were on the Hill when that bill was moving through the House at a time when the House is led by 2 Louisiana guys, right? And so we have the Speaker and we have the Majority Leader from the great state of Louisiana. So for us to be present there and participate in that was pretty cool. So can you share some of your thoughts and some of your aha moments?
I guess and we'll talk about Miles with it later, because he still talks about that trip and how incredible it was. I think in a word, the entire process is far more humbling than most people even realize, and that's advocacy at every level. There's a lot of energy and work that goes in behind the scenes to make anything like that happen. The public sees big beautiful bill or sees tax bill or whatever the situation is. Of course they know there's work happening, but you don't realize the moving parts until your boots on the ground and actually going from office to office, handing out paper to paper, having conversation after conversation, trying to convey a message, trying to explain why this matters or why this particular piece matters to a particular group. In this case, our constituency, our members, the AICPA, the LCPA. The entire process was awe-inspiring, made you realize that there's effort that happens beyond what you see, and that's my biggest takeaway from the entire process, for sure.
Really, really cool. And I know Ann had a big role in that too. I think you probably agree with me, and this is like the most effort in coordinating, our communication to Congress that I've been involved in as executive director. I mean, the repeated ask by the AICPA for us to hit up congressmen with, we need this pass-through entity relief, and sort of on behalf of all the pass-through entities and all the service-based companies out there. The CPAs were really the leader of identifying the problem, because it's complex. It's a real complex tax issue. And for us to just stay with it and pepper and all the work that goes behind the scenes.
And that call to action and the response to that call to action was really incredible, and I think critical to the success of that whole process.
So to say, you said something that made me realize we were solving a problem, or trying to help solve a problem that the rest of the professional services communities didn't even know existed at the time. They didn't realize the ramifications of what had already happened by placing that into the language, and we pumped the brakes and said, time out, let's talk about this. What happens if we don't? What happens if somebody else doesn't? What happens if this just goes through and no one raises the right attention to it? Then you have to unwind it, because then everyone starts getting in a panic.
Absolutely.
So
just huge effort. And it was multiple calls to action. I appreciate our members that jumped in with their relationships with our congressmen to help us through all of that.
Right. And there may have been just a few of you there to represent the profession, but there were hundreds, thousands of members who were able to respond. So that's got to be pretty incredible for you to feel that even though you're there, you're representing, the whole association.
It's really special. It really is. Like to like I said, to be in those halls, to be in those meetings, just to be a part of it, even if half the time you're listening because you're trying to understand the process and what's going on, just to feel like you had any sliver of opportunity to help everyone else, it really was special.
But it was critical for you guys to help the politicians understand those ramifications of that.
And how important it
Yes,
was, right?
absolutely.
I mean, a lot of moving parts, very complex tax legislation, a whole lot of big dollars with lots of commas in them, right? And moving quickly. So kudos to everybody involved.
Thanks to the members,
huge.
right?
Cool.
And remember that, this isn't the only fight that we're going to fight. So we're going to need that that response again soon. Sure.
Oh, absolutely. We'll revisit the other couple
Yeah.
of wins, but
Okay.
I'm intrigued by Miles. I want to hear the
Oh,
story.
yeah,
I
yeah,
know,
yeah.
You know,
I saw some good
pipelines.
pictures. I follow Anthony on Facebook. So it's like,
So-
like these two little smiles right next to each other.
People say we look alike.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pipeline's a big issue for us, right?
Right.
So future CPA and certainly
Yeah.
the influence that we would have over our own children, I think is important. So raising future CPAs, I think, is huge. So having Miles on that trip and being able to be around that and share with us through his eyes what he experienced.
He, I would love it nothing more if he could look back 10 years from now and he's in college and he says, you know what, that's the trip that inspired me to really go and see, because I got to see what Dad did. I got to see what true action and calls to action, actionable steps in the government or in business really looks like. And it doesn't get much higher than that, right? It doesn't get much more prestigious than that just to be a part of it. He talks about the fun too. He talks about everything with the linker room. He talks about all the fun stuff, but he is truly a chip off the old block in that he loves math, he loves problem solving, he loves that understanding, and I think he's really starting to see. You talk about from a future CPA perspective, he's really starting to see what Dad does, and that's been a really cool experience for me. And that trip, I think, was a really high point for that.
That's great. I love hearing that.
Okay, I want to ask a
Yes.
question.
Yes.
On the mind of many people, we talk about your theme and reward miles and points. Okay, is there any correlation between reward miles and your son's name?
There's not, actually. There's not. And even on this trip that I just went to, this Costa Rica trip, I had one of my friends who I've met across the country a few times that asked the same thing. I was like, no, it's not at all. It's actually my middle name.
Oh,
It's
I
my
did
middle
not know
name.
that.
Yep, my middle name. And I'm pretty sure the third sentence that I talked to my wife about when I met her, gosh, we've been together since '03. We're talking, maybe having lunch. She said, oh, your middle name's Miles? Cool, that's going to be our son's name. So that's I'm pretty sure that's how that happened in her mind way back then. And sure enough, when we had him, it was Miles is going to be his name.
Okay,
So,
now
yeah,
you
got
don't
it.
just have one child, so we do not want to
right.
miss
That's right.
your beautiful daughter, or your wife and your beautiful
That's right.
daughter. So tell me a little bit about your daughter.
Absolutely. Maddie just turned 5. She's starting kindergarten this week, and it's going to be a rough week. Unfortunately, we made her take her tonsils out the day after her birthday, but she'll be okay. She's amazing. She is equally as interested in what Dad is doing, but for different reasons, I think, right now. But she's beautiful.
And a trooper, even on the late night monument tour we went on.
Yes.
She hung in there till the bitter end. She's great.
She is absolutely a go kind of person, and that's the energy I try to bring to the table for anything that I do in life, right? What's the saying? Sleep when you're dead, sort of thing. Like, let's go have some
It
fun.
works
Let's,
good.
let's make things work. Let's have a good time, and that's that little ball of energy that she is. So
Yeah, and I know where they get it from. They both ask really good questions as kids. So pleasure to be around them. Kind of back to our advocacy wins that we participated in on the Hill, and here we are in the heart of hurricane season. The Gulf's as hot as it's going to get, and it's the time, right? It's the apex of where all the bad stuff happens, and we have a history in Louisiana of the hurricanes coming, and it's always right around the extended due dates of the income tax returns, both the business side and the individual, and a hot mess. So a big storm spins up, and here it comes, and clients need to know from their CPA what they need to do about the tax return that's due or the payment that's due. And we do a lot of work in that regard. The governor usually declares a disaster, and the way it worked in the past, we had to wait for FEMA to get involved and come down after the storm has come through, measure damages. That takes a while. They go parish by parish in our case, with zip codes, and communicate that to the IRS that then grants relief. And that usually almost always happens after the due date of the return. And so there's all this uncertainty and anxiety that happens beyond, packing up your family to get out of harm's way. People do care about their tax returns, and they rely on CPAs to help them through that. And so for years and years, we've worked on that. And it goes beyond Louisiana. It's the floods in the Midwest. It's the fires in California, and other states certainly have hurricanes too. Florida, Texas, New York, had Superstorm Sandy. And so over the years, we've had many attempts in Congress to have some relief be automatic, or how do we shorten that time frame? And recently, we were able to get that through. And the way that it works now is when a governor declares a disaster, it kind of allows FEMA to immediately communicate with the IRS and extend the due date and the payment, not for 60 days, but for 120. That bill was unopposed in both the House and the Senate in a time where very partisan politics plays a really nasty hand in everything that we do. And so when you think about that, and it makes me proud to be an American and proud to be a CPA and proud to be a CPA from a great state of Louisiana, to have that win happen. And I don't want a storm to come. I hope we never need to use that congressional act, but it's there, and it's comforting to know that it's there. And so it was really cool to be part of that win.
And just the vote itself is a testament to the trust that the political sides have in what we put at the table. We're not just over there advocating for everything and anything and everything. We're not just throwing things out there. We find the things that matter, and they understand that, and they trust that, right? Trusted advisor to more than just our clients, right?
For sure.
Whatever we put on paper.
Yeah, and win number 3, I mean, numbers telling stories. It's one of the barriers to entry, if you will, to any profession is the cost associated with that, whether it's education or exam fees or what have you. And the third win, and it's contained in the One Big Beautiful Act, is the ability for 529 plans to be able to pay for CPA exam fees.
Yep.
And it's something we advocated for. The fourth that we're still working on is the STEM initiative, which would allow accounting to be included as part of the STEM initiative and unlock funding for K through 12 education. We've recently signed on to a letter with other state societies and the AICPA and universities that are working on that. So we might wind up being 4 for 4.
That would be
Don't know
awesome.
that
Awesome.
yet.
That would be way cool.
Pretty cool.
Well, let me ask a little bit about your journey in leadership. Now you're officially the LCPA chair for the next year, but that just didn't happen spontaneously. So talk a little bit about maybe somebody who encouraged you in pursuing leadership, and then your training locally with leadership, and then how that ended up with the LCPA.
Sure. No, I think that my desire to be involved in community advocacy for whatever I'm invested in has always existed. That goes back to maybe even high school or before that. If you're going to put time into an organization that you feel is valuable, why not do it at the highest level? Why not try to find a way to truly be involved, give back, and like I said, maybe give a little bit more than you receive to make it better for the next group. So I still have mine framed, did everything. One of the first thing I did was try to join a local chapter and start going to local meetups, even if it was just me and 3 other people, which is probably happened a few times. And the next thing you know, people start picking up on that pattern. They start picking up on that, hey, you like being here. I'm like, yeah, I do. I like this. I like what we're doing. You want to join a committee? You want to join a group? It's like, yeah, that's exactly how this works. So I came in, started being involved with my local chapter. We started running recruiting events and things, which kind of connected to my love for Southeastern. I'm a Southeastern graduate out of Hammond. They were an incredible school for me. Have a lot of great professors there that were mentors, and some offsite people in Hammond that I still stay in touch with as well. And being able to go and give back to the next generation of accountants coming up through those programs was really special to me and really important to me. And that kind of bridged both worlds for me, being involved with the chapter, being involved with Southeastern's accounting program, and kind of doing that. And the next thing you know, they ask you to be president for a year, and you get a seat at the big table, right? The big state table, and you get to be part of these quarterly meetings. From there, that when you talked about advocacy earlier, we talked about how it shifts at every level and how it feels different at every level, but how much, maybe not just harder, but how incredible it feels to be able to give back and continue going up to give back. That's where I got hooked. That's where I really got hooked. Being around the amazing leaders, and they were not just those of y'all in the room here, but the amazing leaders that are putting together true change and putting together true actionable events to move the profession forward. And I realized I have to do that. I have to be a part of that, because if not, well, who is? And somebody else has to be a part of that and find a way to tap into someone. And then somewhere along the way, y'all tricked me into doing this role. I don't know how that happened.
It's, I believe that everybody's exactly where they need to be.
I
You're
do.
exactly where you need to be in this role.
Yeah.
I mean, at this time, at this moment, and it's well deserved. We're so excited that you are leading the society, and I saw leadership in you. Like I shared, I mean, you always ask really good questions and participated and listened. And that's where the good questions came from. And, to help guide through the process, and, wise beyond your years. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm old enough to be your dad, but,
Yeah,
I've
I
watched.
didn't fact check before this, but
But
you
we're
know,
not-
you're close to one of the youngest.
Yeah,
Would
yeah.
you say?
I would say, and
LCPA
that we're
chairs that
not
we've
going to
had.
have those numbers tell stories.
That's
I am
right,
not
that's
going to divulge that difference. I know you're a big New Orleans Saints fan and love the city
Here
of
we
New
go.
Orleans. Do you put potato salad in your gumbo?
I absolutely do, and that's the right way to do it.
It is.
That's the
So
only
it
right way to
doesn't
do
matter seafood or chicken andouille. Your potato salad goes in the gumbo.
100%. I can hear my wife clapping right now at the house because that's the way she has it too. And she was a convert. She actually did
Wow.
not try it that way growing up, and she became an incredible cook, kind of like post college and stuff. And she started trying it that way after I told her about it. She's like, "Yes, this is
Yeah.
exactly what you're supposed to do."
I love that. So I know you're a big Who Dat Nation fan. I know you've got your sort of not really tailgate, but your pregame group. That is it. The Brass Monkey. Is it
The Copper Monkey.
the Copper Monkey?
Brass
Brass Monkey's the song.
That's a slide, that's
That-
a slide L
it's a
one, too.
different
So-
precious metal. Copper
That's
Monkey.
right.
Monkey.
That's right. Tell us about the copper monkeys.
Oh my goodness, and it goes back beyond that too. But yes, some I love the saying. Sometimes against my better judgment with the investment process, but we're still involved anyways right now. Let's see what happens. Fingers crossed. No, but we have a traditional tailgate, and we even did it during the pandemic. I have to show you photos if I didn't, where we couldn't go into the bars. But there's a group of us diehards that kind of park where we park, get down there at 9:00. And we go to the same French Quarter bar that we all meet up at, and people start to slowly congregate. People from Alabama, Mississippi, locals, everybody's there. And then back in the 2009 year, that group, if you will, had started creating this shot race type thing that we would do, this drinking competition. Let's call it that, a drinking competition before the game to get everyone well oiled for yelling inside the stadium.
Yeah.
Ready.
And there's always a champion to the morning who's giving a chant and giving a call to action, if you will, for those in the room. And then we parade. We just parade and walk bar to bar, hit up friends' bars, hit up different places that we've learned to love in the quarter, places that everybody should visit. And next thing we know, we're at the stadium ready to rock and roll and yell for the Who Dat Nation.
Absolutely. Love
Well,
that.
he mentioned drinking, so I'm going to ask a follow-up question on
Absolutely.
that. I've known you to be quite the mixologist,
Oh, I do love making
right?
cocktails.
So tell me, as a celebratory drink in honor of your chairmanship, what would that drink be?
Oh my
And what would we
goodness.
call it? Because you'd have to give it a different name,
Oh my
not just
gosh.
a regular drink.
That's a great question. I've been on a gin kick as of late, even though bourbon
okay.
is tequila is my first love, but that's a college story. So I would say probably right now it's be something with gin. I'm gonna come up with a much better answer than what I've got right now.
right.
But a little bit of gin, a little bit of lemon, something fresh and refreshing. Like we're gonna breathe into the profession. We're gonna breathe some technology and AI into the profession, which is refreshing. Oh,
That's
yes.
it.
All that fun
Refreshing.
stuff.
I'll
Okay.
offer one up. I was thinking of you yesterday, kind of preparing for our visit today and thinking about your theme Beyond Rewards, thinking about you as an auditor. Didn't know actually Ann was going to ask that question, but, how about beyond the balance sheet?
Beyond the balance sheet.
Because,
I
you
love
might,
it.
if you overdo it, you might lose your
Might
balance.
lose
That's
a little
true.
bit of balance there. I love,
I love
that.
it.
I love that. That's awesome. So I do like to make a good craft cocktail. That is a
You
a
do,
true fun passion.
and you've talked about that before. So, prior to your gin kick, what was your go-to drink?
Oh, well, the go-to drink that really got me into craft mixing was a gin drink. It was a last word cocktail that was just a very floral, effervescent kind of fun drink with chartreuse and gin and lime juice and cherry liqueur. And it's that type of cocktail that you never think you'll appreciate, and some people really don't. But once you have one and you truly like it, it's simple to make. It's just fun. Then I started making my own syrups, started making lemon syrups and orange syrups. I would get the byproduct of friends' candies. They would make candies, and I would turn them into alcohol syrups and stuff. Just kind of fun, make cocktails. And then the bourbon craze happened, and everybody was making old fashions. I still love to make a good, mean smoked old fashioned at the house. So
So what we'll do is we'll get you to promise today that you'll give us a recipe for this new gin, lemony, refreshing drink,
You got
and we'll
it.
put it on Facebook, and maybe we'll share it in Lanyard.
You got it. I'll come up with a couple too, but I will absolutely
be
do one.
awesome.
So that'll be fun.
And maybe one has a little General Ledger's seasoning.
You never know.
Spicy
Maybe
one.
a little.
Spicy.
Yeah, I
a
forgot to
little,
mention our sponsor,
That's right. That's
General
right.
Ledger's tax seasoning. Yeah, way to go, Ann. I mean, I would have missed that altogether. Here we are at the bitter end, right?
Okay,
That stuff now has a prime spot on our counter at the house as well. And our son even's like, did you put that stuff in there? And he can tell at this point. He can tell because if Mama cooks something with that, and he's like, Mama, that was good.
that was good. That's right. We got
love
what
it.
was the new slogan this week? It was if you ain't sneezing, it ain't season.
seasoned. Yeah,
I love that. That's incredible.
because that's a sneezy one, right?
That is.
You get a little
It'll
too.
hit you.
That
It'll
is.
get you.
If it gets in here, it gets you. Here we are about to wrap it all up.
Yep.
Do you have any other words of wisdom for our viewing audience about CPA profession, about the spread for the Saints, and your predictions for the end of the season?
If I had that, you'd find me in Vegas tomorrow, and we'd be doing all right. No, I really appreciate y'all having this and doing this. This is such a great experience. This is so phenomenal. I'm looking forward to the upcoming year. I'm looking forward to all the friends we're going to make across the state and all the opportunities we're going to try to bring to inform people and let them know what's going on. I'm going to definitely share more about the Beyond Wards theme over
it's
the
coming.
year. And
We'll tease that up a little
Yeah.
bit.
if people have questions about miles and points, I will gladly talk to you about it. Just know that I will talk your ear off if you come to me about it. And
Can
I
we
will-
make
sure.
that
No.
into a CPE session?
We've talked about it, and I
Right,
think
right.
there's an opportunity to do it because I think it's such an intriguing story, and there's a lot to learn
We
from
can
it.
do something like before one of the Saints games.
Yeah,
would be fun.
That would be
for
fun.
sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what's left to do.
Wait, I have one more
Oh, we got
question.
one
Can
more
I, can I ask
question.
you one more?
Oh,
Okay.
please.
Oh,
You
bonus.
know,
I'm sorry.
you're getting,
I'm
you've
sorry.
started your presidency, right? Your chairmanship.
Chairmanship.
You're getting ready to make a round around the state
Oh.
and visit all the chapters. So, what's that one message that you hope to leave the members with as you, visit one-on-one across the state?
Ooh, great question. I think when we're going to visit the chapters, the people that are showing up at those chapters, they're involved, right? They're already involved. They're doing something. And sometimes they're trying to figure out what that thing is. I would tell you, thank you. That's the first message. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being there. Thank you for being a voice and an image of the profession, a positive voice and a positive image for the profession, and trying to make fun things happen. I would also say, don't be afraid to mix things up, right? Don't be afraid to look at additional opportunities to do fun things, to bring additional people to the crowd. Don't be afraid to reach out and call. Some people just want that. Some people want to have that personal invitation to come and hang out with other CPAs. Believe it or not, world, we're actually really fun. I think thank you is the main message I would give them, and I look forward to seeing you, and I look forward to seeing what everyone does this year. So.
Wow.
Wow. Well,
Hey,
on that note,
on that note, hey, it's time.
you ready?
Yes,
ready?
let's do it.
Okay. Now,
We
you
get
just
ready.
have to go home.
We're gonna
'cause,
mess up
you
your
know,
suit.
Yeah.
Look, let's go. So I just got to clean. I'll get it cleaned
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
So.
We always do a cheer.
Okay.
Oh, okay, all right,
Okay.
all right.
I need.
Oh,
there we
I didn't
go.
get- I didn't get the memo.
You can't reach. There we go. Well, no, we didn't want that.
Sorry.
We're gonna cheers.
Yeah,
Cheers.
cheers.
And take a big bite. Amen.
Amen.